Hey everyone, Aaron here from Rudy Visuals. Hope you're all doing well and keeping safe. In today's video, we're reviewing the ZOlink 600S, the latest wireless video transmitter from Shimbol. Before we kick on with this review, full transparency, this is not a paid or sponsored review, but Shimbol were very kind enough to send us one of these for free to review. But as always, all thoughts and opinions are fully independent, but a big thank you specifically to Ethel at Shimbol for making this video possible. And just in case you're not aware, Shimbol, aka Shenzhen Zo Video Technology Co. Limited, is a company based in Shenzhen, China, founded in 2017, who create camera accessories and tech such as wireless video transmitters and monitors, etc. So do check out their website if you want to find out more. Now, we did review the ZOlink 600 a few months ago and thought that was a really solid wireless video option, and this is essentially a new refresh / upgrade of that model. Now, price-wise, the 600S has an MSRP of $419, so while it isn't what I would call, cheap compared to some of the other models out there on the market at the moment, like the Hololens 400S Pro, which sells for about $650, you are still saving a good chunk of change going for this. So why would you need one of these? Well, just in case you're not aware, a wireless video transmitter allows you to record footage from a camera source and then wirelessly transmit the signal elsewhere to like a monitor, a tablet, or a smartphone for the purposes of monitoring. So this makes it an incredibly useful tool for a wide variety of scenarios, such as filming with multiple people, live broadcasts, streams, things like wedding ceremonies, corporate events, etc., and even for YouTubers and vloggers. So even though I've already opened this up, let's have a quick look at what's inside the box. So there's not too much to see here really. We have a user manual, the two units, one acts as the transmitter and one acts as the receiver, and there's a single USB-C cable. However, like the previous model, there's no connectivity cables provided whatsoever. There's no mounts of any kind, there's no battery, so that's kind of annoying, so do keep this in mind before you purchase this. Now, before we get into any of the details, specs and all of that stuff, let's take this for a spin and test out that claimed range of 600 feet, which is around 172 meters, as well as that latency of 0.08 seconds. So I've got the transmitter here connected to my camera right now, and the receiver hooked up to a monitor. Hopefully you can see it back here. And I'm just gonna walk in that direction, and it's supposedly going to work with 180 meters, 600 feet, but it does say up to 600 feet, so we might not get the full range, but let's see. It is a very clear open path, there's no obstructions or anything like that. So I'm about 50 meters away, as you can see, and at the moment there is no issues with the connection. Working fine? Working fine, so let's keep going to maybe about 100 meters. So we're at about 100 meters now, and apparently still working fine, so that's great. Let's try to push on a little bit further. Okay, so I'd guess that's probably about 170, 175, but definitely more than 150 meters, and we're still getting a clear signal. Still in sync? Yep, okay. Let's see if we'll get the full 182 meters. So it seems like we did lose signal about, that's probably about 180 meters, so it's not exactly all the way 600 feet, but you might get, around 580, 590, depending on your sort of surroundings. But very impressive, great. So with regards to the distance, it's a shame that we didn't quite get that full range, but we got about 90% of that range. And I think, to be honest, there's not many situations where you need to be, at 600 feet anyway. And with our camera and monitor setup, we didn't really experience issues with like the connectivity and stability. So big thumbs up there. Now, do keep in mind that we did test this in that wide open field where there was always a clear line of sight. So I know from previous experience that your range and connection stability will be affected by things like whether you're on like a busy street, if there are any physical obstructions, electronic interference, if you're on different floors and there are things like walls in the way, so your mileage may vary. As for the latency of 0.08 seconds, again, this can also be affected by those external factors too. Even the camera and monitor setup that you're using can affect that as well. But to my eye, the delay is ever so slightly noticeable, but to be honest, it's not an issue if you're just using this for reference to check your framing, your composition, exposure, that sort of thing. Now, build quality wise, they look and feel pretty much exactly the same as the previous model we reviewed. The units feel very well made. They're lightweight and compact at around 150 grams without the batteries, and they're made from a mixture of metal and plastic, and the buttons do feel a bit more robust this time. The OLED screen is also very convenient. It's not super bright if you are planning to film outside, but it's just about good enough to see all of your settings. And again, it's great to have that antenna-less design. They're pretty much built inside the units themselves, so it's sort of one less thing to stick out and potentially break or get caught somewhere. Now, one big improvement over the previous model though is the now fanless design, which means the units are completely silent, which makes it a much better option for recording dialogue, as before you did have that very noticeable fan noise. As for the I/O, again, very straightforward here. You have HDMI in and HDMI out, as well as SDI in and SDI out, which is great for compatibility with different cameras. There's a Type-C USB, which can also be used for power, and just some mounting ports on the right side and at the bottom too. At the back, you'll find here where you can place your Sony NP batteries, and the 600S has a very low power consumption, and even with my cheap NP 550 batteries, I was able to get a good 2 to 3 hours of battery life. So I can imagine you can get even longer battery life with a bigger and better quality battery. In terms of the setup and operation, again, very straightforward. It's pretty much just a case of turning them on and everything will pair up automatically. The OLED screen makes it very easy to work with, and it's a very basic menu and UI where you can just see your wireless signal, your video connection, battery level, and set your channel settings. There is also an app which can be used to turn your mobile phone device into a monitor. However, at the time of recording, it's only available for iOS. So unfortunately, as no one in this household uses Apple, so unfortunately we can't test this out. But what's great is that you can transmit your video feed to up to 4 devices using apps, or 3 devices while using the receiver as well. So as long as they're using iOS devices, you can ensure that, essential members of your filming crew can see what's on camera. They have told us that in the future there will be support for Android devices, but your guess is as good as mine as how long that's going to take. Now, one limitation to be aware of is that you are limited to transmitting video up to 1080p at 60 frames a second. So the camera can be recording at 4K, 8K, higher frame rates, but the video feed that you will receive and view will be capped at 1080p and 60 frames. So if you did want to transmit video at a higher resolution, then you would need to invest in something a little bit more pricey, but for most people, 1080p 60 frames is fine for most use cases. So with all of that being said, the 600S, like the 600 before it, is a great performing and reliable wireless video transmitter, and also comes at a very reasonable price too, considering the competition. And to be honest with you, the difference between this and the 600 is not huge. It is literally just the fanless design, the lower power consumption. But on the flip side, if you're someone who would benefit from that silence, then it's definitely a no-brainer to spend the extra $40 on this. So overall, a very solid and reliable wireless video transmitter for budget-conscious video shooters, and recommended. So if you're interested in picking up one of these for yourself, there will be links in the description box below. Thank you once again to Ethel and for Shimbol for sending this to us for review. Any questions, let us know in the comment section down below. And if you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe to see more, and you can also follow us on socials down here. I guess I'll see you on the next video. Thanks, peace.